How's it going, everybody? Keegan here with Relentless Pursuit. Today we're going to do a video on wiring in 4 6-volt batteries, and then we're going to do another little video on wiring in 2 12-volt batteries, and then doing a little bit of explanations on actually wiring in switches if you want, so if you wanted to have a battery disconnect, stuff like that. So to get right into it before my table breaks, we're going to go over wiring in 4 6-volt batteries. You're going to find this a lot on your Class A diesel pushers, maybe even some of just the normal Class A's. You can technically do this in a fifth wheel or a travel trailer and stuff like that, but generally it's not cost effective between having the 4 batteries, much less also going to want to have installed a couple boxes and stuff like that. So by the time you get 4 boxes on the frame of that trailer, a lot of times it's too much. So that's why you don't end up doing this. A lot of people, like we've talked in past videos, you're looking at doing some lithiums or something like that. So to just get started, we're going to pretend like my charger here that's plugged into the wall is the source coming from our trailer. So we're going to have your positive and negative terminals right here. So we'll get to that in just a minute. You're then going to have a couple other wires here that you can use. Right now I don't have ends on a couple of these, so I'll just kind of go over what it's for. And then you're going to have a couple other terminals here for wires for, again, wiring in your 6 volts. It's really going to be determined by what you're planning on doing. So if you're planning on running like a whole house inverter, which is going to run your whole system and everything, you're going to want to looking to get into some bigger gauged wires. Something like this. Right here, this is some 4 gauge wire, so this will pretty much get into almost anything you need. But otherwise, just for example purposes, I'm just showing you what I have sitting here. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to make our 4 6-volt batteries into 2 12-volt batteries. So what you're looking to do is you're going to put these batteries into series. When you're running these batteries in series, you're going to allow 2 of these to be turned into a 12-volt battery and the other 2 to be turned into a 12-volt battery. So you're going to have, again, we're going to take our jumper wire here, and then what we're going to do is we're actually going to go positive to a negative. So now we're going to actually connect our positive to our negative. I'm just going to get some wires on here just for showing everybody. So right now what I did is I took these 2 front batteries right now that were actually 6 volts and I just turned them into a 12-volt battery by combining their positive and their negative here. So now you are not going to want to connect anything else to these terminals. Basically, if you can't connect those improperly, and let's say you were to try to jump start this coach and you connected directly to these 2, you very well could fry that system, because now you are touching 2 6-volt batteries. That's why from here on out now we are just going to be playing with our 2 outer ones where we don't have these wires connected. So we're going to do the same thing on the back here. So same thing here. So now we have both of our batteries combined into 2 12-volt batteries. So now our 4 batteries just technically turned into, if we want to use it as an example, 2 batteries, right? We made it into 1 12-volt system here of 1 12-volt battery and 1 12-volt battery. So from here, we are now going to want to turn these into paralleled batteries, right? So we're going to have 2 12-volt batteries combined into parallel to increase our amp hours now. So if we have 1 12-volt battery and 1 12-volt battery, now you take these batteries that are about, let's just say 100 amp hours a piece, we're now going to combine them all in parallel to be able to increase our amp hours. So we are going to want to take, and we're going to, again, not connect to these terminals here. So both of my negatives now, if these are placed in here like this, we're going to be able to combine our one negative to our other negative. So now these are combined, and we're going to combine that, and again, we're just going to set that on there. So now we just completed our bundle of batteries. So we have a 12 volt battery, a 12 volt battery, and then now they are combined to increase our amp hours. So from here, when I'm now going to complete my system, let's say we have our ground and our positive coming from our house to our batteries, I'm going to always want to connect my positive first. So we're just going to again clamp that right onto here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ground and I'm going to go to all the way to the other side. Right? So now we have our positive here and our ground here. The reason why I want to start with this battery and go over to this one is because now when we hook everything up, one, our positive is connected first, so even if the ground were to fall and hit something, it's not going to spark or arc or do anything like that. But then two, the reason that we're going to be doing it this way is so that way we are going through the full system, right? We're not just connecting to one 12 volt battery at this point. We have now went through our full system to be able to get as much charge and pull out of these batteries as we possibly can. So at this point in time, our system is completely hooked up to be able to run a 12 volt battery to 12 volts inside the trailer, and then we are going to be able to increase our amp hours so that way we can get the most amount of amperage out of these batteries. We are going through the full system, so that way one isn't going and draining down just maybe one battery getting a complete load. Now a lot of times on these trailers and motorhomes and everything else, you're going to have a lot more than just what I have sitting here. You're going to have some wires that could be coming from your fridge or whatever it is. So you are going to want to be able to connect those into this sequence. Again, never to these ones here, but you may have to stack a couple on this one for now, but if this is maxed out on this pole, you may have to add one over to this one. And that's okay. But in general, we want to try to go through the full system as much as possible. So at this point in time, that's how it's going to look to be able to wire in 4 6-volt batteries into the system. Now, if you wanted to add a battery disconnect to this or some sort of switch so that way you only wanted to pull from one side or the other, you can definitely do that. You would end up, again, going through your positive here, and you're going to end up wanting to cut that, and then you would be able to go from one side to the other and jumper through that. So you could switch between what bank you're drawing off of. But in general, you're going to end up with 6-volt batteries, just drawing off all of them. That way you know that the whole source is being used. We'll go over that a little bit more with the switches and installing a switch on the 12-volt side of things. It's a little bit easier to do that with 2 12 volts. So we're going to do that right now, and we'll go from there. All right, to get right into it, we're going to go right into 2 12-volt batteries here. So at this point, you already have your 12 volts, right? So we don't need to actually increase our voltage like we did with our 2 6-volts. We're going to actually want to increase just the amp hours so that way our batteries last longer, so that way we can camp longer. The biggest thing that you're going to want to do with that is you're going to, again, always want to connect your positive first, then your negative. And it's the opposite when you're disconnecting. You're always going to disconnect your negative and then your positive. Again, you're just trying to minimize arcing and stuff like that. First thing that we're going to want to do is verify the batteries that we're putting on. As you can see, these two that I have in front of me are not in the greatest shape. I just grabbed what I had. But what we're looking for is we want to make sure that if you're installing a new battery, the second battery should also be new. Every battery is only as good as the worst one. So if you have one like this, let's say that is 5 years old, and you go and you throw on one like this that looks a little bit newer, let's just say that one's a year old, this year-old battery just became only as good as that 5-year-old one. Now, if you were to take it to a manufacturer or a dealer or something like that, they would more than likely ask that you would buy 2 brand new batteries, and that would be for that reason. Most dealerships won't actually just install the batteries you give them unless they're both 2 brand new batteries. Now there are certain instances where if it's only like a month-old battery, they're probably willing to work with you. But the other thing you want to make sure of is that your amp hour rating, or CCA as well, but again more the amp hours, are the same as whatever battery you're trying to put on. Because if you're, let's say, trying to put on a battery that's, let's say this one is going to be rated for 65 amp hours versus this one that's rated for 85, again, your 85 amp hour battery just became only a 65 amp hour battery. It's not really going to help you as much. So always try to look to increase and give you the newest battery. But otherwise, if you are just trying to, again, install a couple of batteries, we're going to want to make sure that, one, we are going to want to have going through our full system. So we're going to go over that right now. So again, we're going to have our positive wire here. So we're just going to connect that right onto our positive terminal here. And we're going to send that right over to our positive terminal right here. So let's see if I can make that work. So that's going to go to our positive terminal right here, right? It's just like jump starting a car. So now we're going to go right here. We're going to go to our negative. And now that that negative is on there, you're going to send that over to this negative. Pretty simple, right? Now when we are going to install our wires from our house, we're going to once again start with our positive first, connect it onto our positive, and then take our ground and connect it right to our ground. We now are going through our full system all the way through, and we are now increasing our amp hours for our batteries. So at this point in time, you have 2 12-volt batteries wired into parallel to be able to increase your amp hours. So now that this is all set up and ready to go, if we wanted to install a switch or a battery disconnect or something like that, we would mount that battery disconnect either right on the frame up by the batteries. You can make a plate or whatever it is. And now you're going to go to your positive wire here. Let's just say we disconnect that, and we are going to run that over to our battery disconnect terminal. So now this wire, we are going to now take a third wire or second wire, and we're going to connect it to the other side of our battery disconnect. So now our disconnect would be between the 2 wires, and we're going to send that either over to our battery or over to, if this is coming from the house, over to the house. It all depends on how you want to wire it in. Now, in most cases, what you're going to do is you're going to have this connected to your batteries here. You're going to splice in to your house wire, right? You're going to cut this house wire and you're going to add your terminals to this house wire, and you're going to wire it to your battery disconnect, and then you would wire this back to the batteries. But again, it can be determined by what you want to do. If, let's say, you wanted to install a switch, right? You just wanted to be able to have this all in place, and all you wanted to do was flip a switch between your batteries so that way you knew which one it was drawing off of. You'd actually probably want to do 2 switches. You're going to end up cutting, you're going to connect like so, and you're going to actually cut these so that way they're connected to a disconnect or a switch of some kind, and you're going to switch between which batteries you want it connected to. So again, a little bit of variance on what you're looking specifically to do, but there is ways to do that up with the wiring up at these batteries to be able to kind of make it do what you want. So most cases, you're looking to increase the amp hours. You're not necessarily looking to switch between which battery you're drawing off of. The more power and longer lasting you have, the better, so that way you can camp longer. But if you're looking to just run a battery dead and then be able to switch over, you can definitely do that by wiring in 2 big switches to be able to pick and choose from that. It's kind of up to you on how you want that to run. But that is all options of things that you want or be able to do. So yeah, I mean, if you guys have any other questions, if you're looking to get answers for something, or if you are just looking for more information, please reach out. Again, we're going to be keep going on videos, and we're going to just go along as we can. So again, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. You guys have a great night. Stay relentless.